What happens when you give a kingdom with a GDP of over $1 trillion a blank check and a sci-fi movie script? You don't get a movie. You get the line, a city so wildly ambitious it makes Dubai look like a quiet suburb. The $1 trillion Sandbox. Let's face it, you can't talk about the line without talking about the money. Initially, the project was tossed around with a cool $500 billion price tag. That's a number so big it almost loses all meaning. To put it in perspective, that's enough to buy Apple, with enough left over to pick up Netflix and Starbucks for the weekend. For $500 billion, you'd expect something pretty spectacular, right? Well, hold on to your gold-plated hats, because that was just the opening bid. As the sheer mind-bending scale of the entire Neom project, the futuristic region where the line is the star player, came into focus, that number started looking like a down payment. Recent estimates for building out the whole Neom dream have skyrocketed to a truly astronomical $1.5 trillion. It's a figure that sounds less like a construction budget and more like the GDP of a G7 nation. But this isn't just a vanity project, it's a civilization building project funded by one of the deepest pockets on the planet, Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, or PIF. This is the ultimate expression of sovereign wealth, an attempt to literally build the future in the middle of nowhere, powered by oil money and sheer unadulterated audacity. It's the world's most expensive game of SimCity, and the cheat codes are on. So what exactly is the line? Alright, strip away the mountain of cash, and what are we left with? The line is pitched as a revolution in urban living. Imagine a skyscraper, the kind you see in New York or Shanghai, but instead of going up, it's laid on its side. Now stretch that skyscraper for 170 kilometers. That's about the distance from New York City to Philadelphia. Make it 500 meters tall, taller than the Empire State Building, and only 200 meters wide. Then build an identical one right next to it and clad the whole thing in mirrors so it reflects the desert landscape. That, in a nutshell, is the line. The sales pitch is pure utopian sci-fi. There will be no cars, no roads, and zero carbon emissions. Everything you could ever need, your job, shops, schools, parks, is supposedly accessible within a 5-minute walk. For longer journeys, a high-speed rail line will whisk you from one end of the city to the other in just 20 minutes. It's designed to house 9 million people in a hyper-dense, vertically layered community, all powered by 100% renewable energy. It's a city that promises the convenience of urban life without the pollution, the traffic, or the sprawl. On paper, it's a genius solution to the problems plaguing modern cities. In reality, it's an engineering and social experiment on a scale never before attempted in human history. It's either the blueprint for the next century of civilization or the world's most spectacular and most expensive folly. The Great Shrinking City. For a couple of years after its announcement, the line was mostly just glossy renders and slick promotional videos. Then, in 2022, drone footage proved this wasn't just a fever dream. Massive excavation was underway, carving a 170-kilometer-long scar across the desert. It looked like they were actually going for it, building the whole monstrous thing in one go. But gravity, both physical and financial, has a way of asserting itself. By 2024, the whisper started. The PIF, despite being bottomless, apparently has a bottom. The money wasn't flowing as freely as planned, and the colossal budget was facing a harsh reality check. The grand vision for a 170-kilometer-long city by 2030 was quietly but dramatically scaled back. The new, more realistic goal? To have just 2.4 kilometers of the line completed by the 2030 deadline. That's a reduction of about 98%. It's like ordering a mega yacht and being told you'll get a very, very nice jet ski by the promised date. The population target for this first phase also shrank from over 1 million residents to a more modest 300,000. This strategic pivot likely had something to do with a shuffle in the executive suites. The longtime CEO of Neom was replaced by someone who manages the fund that's bankrolling the whole operation. A classic move when a passion project needs a healthy dose of financial discipline. Officially, the story is that this was the plan all along, to build the line in modular, manageable phases. And to be fair, that makes a lot more sense, but it's a far cry from the initial bombastic promise of a fully formed linear city rising from the desert in less than a decade. Building the impossible. So the city shrank, but the ambition didn't. That 2.4-kilometer section, dubbed Phase 1, is still one of the most complex construction projects on Earth. This isn't just a few apartment blocks, it's a self-contained slice of the future, and the work being done is staggering. Satellite images and on-the-ground footage show a hive of activity. They are engaged in the world's largest piling exercise. To support the immense weight of these 500-meter-tall structures, engineers are driving more than 16,000 individual foundation piles deep into the desert floor. For context, the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, was built on just 192 piles. This first tiny section of the line requires over 80 times that. At the heart of this initial phase is the so-called hidden marina. A massive man-made basin is being excavated that will eventually connect to the Red Sea, allowing yachts to sail directly into the heart of the city. We're also seeing concrete work begin on the foundational structures for 3 distinct modules, numbered 45, 46, and 47. Module 46 is the most advanced, as it's where the marina will cut through the structure and where the Neom Stadium will be built, a World Cup venue suspended 350 meters in the air inside a skyscraper. Let that sink in. They're building a world-class stadium halfway to the clouds. Keeping this massive construction site dry is a colossal dewatering system, a complex network of pumps and channels that moves groundwater from the excavation site all the way to the sea. This is not a project being done by halves, even if it's only 2% of the original vision. The Neom cinematic universe. It's crucial to remember that the line, as insane as it is just the headliner in a much bigger production. Neom is a whole portfolio of bonkers, hyper-futuristic projects, an entire cinematic universe of megastructures designed to function together. If the line is the ambitious, utopian protagonist, then meet the rest of the cast. First, there's Oxagon, the pragmatic workhorse of the Neom vision. Pitched as a floating port city, its purpose is to be a revolutionary industrial and logistics hub built right on the Red Sea. Imagine a city dedicated to advanced, clean industries, where automated systems handle the flow of goods through a futuristic port. Recent images show that this isn't just a concept. Its harbor is actively beginning to take shape, and the foundational infrastructure for the port itself has begun construction. Unlike the line's focus on residential living, Oxagon is designed to be the economic engine, a place that generates the commerce and innovation needed to sustain the entire region. Then there's Trojana, the project that sounds like a pure fantasy. This is a winter resort being constructed in the deserts of Saudi Arabia. The plan involves creating a year-round ski destination through a combination of architectural wizardry, a massive man-made freshwater lake, and of course, a colossal amount of artificial snow. It's a project that directly challenges its environment with an almost defiant level of engineering and capital. To prove it's not just a billionaire's daydream, Trojana is already slated to host the 2029 Asian Winter Games, forcing a tangible deadline on this seemingly impossible feat. Beyond these headliners, the Neom plan also includes an entire coastal region dedicated to creating futuristic tourist destinations, each with its own unique architectural style and luxury offerings. These projects, from the port to the ski slopes to the line itself, are not isolated islands of ambition. They are designed as an interconnected ecosystem, a series of developments intended to transform Saudi Arabia from an oil state into a diversified global hub for technology, tourism, and futuristic living. If you build it, will they come? This brings us to the biggest, most unanswered question of all. Who is actually going to live in this mirrored corridor in the desert? Convincing 300,000 people to move to the first phase of the line is a monumental challenge. Will they be expats drawn by high-paying tech jobs and tax-free salaries? Will they be Saudi citizens eager to experience a new way of life? And what will that life actually be like, living inside a 500-meter-tall structure with AI monitoring the city and your every need catered to? It walks a fine line between a convenient utopia and a luxurious, perfectly controlled cage. There's also a darker side to this grand vision. The construction of Neom has not been without controversy. The vast area designated for the project was home to local tribes, most notably the Huaytat tribe. Reports from human rights organizations detail forced evictions and displacement of thousands of people to make way for the megacity. This is the uncomfortable reality that often gets lost behind the dazzling renders and talk of a sustainable paradise. Progress on this scale rarely comes without a human cost, and it's a critical part of the line story. The ultimate bet. So where does that leave us? The line is no longer a question of if, but how much and how soon. The 170-kilometer dream is on the back burner, likely for decades to come, but the 2.4-kilometer proof of concept is very much alive, a testament to Saudi Arabia's unwavering determination. It is, without a doubt, the single biggest and most expensive gamble in modern history. If they pull it off, if they can actually build this first phase and convince people to move there, it could slowly but surely expand, module by module, across the desert over the next century. If it fails, it will become the world's most breathtakingly beautiful and technologically advanced ghost town, a monument to what happens when limitless ambition meets logistical and financial reality. It's a high-stakes bet on the future of humanity placed with a mountain of chips, and for now, all we can do is watch as the world's most audacious architectural experiment continues to unfold, one multi-billion-dollar kilometer at a time. What do you think? Is the line a stroke of genius or a recipe for disaster? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments.